When I first saw Space Chef, I instantly thought of Flo's Diner Dash. Let me know if you remember those games. I grew up with them and I rarely find anyone who knows what I'm talking about. But it also gave me Chef RPG vibes, which sadly, if you watched my review for the early access, you know was a letdown for me. So I went into this one cautiously hopeful that it would finally deliver that perfect mix of cooking and adventure that we've all been craving. But after playing for over 10 hours, I've got a lot to say. The good, the bad, and a disclaimer that you'll definitely want to hear, especially if you're expecting this to be your next cozy gem. So by the end of this video, you're gonna realize that this game is definitely not the game for everybody, but it's not a bad thing. If you love RPGs and cozy games and you love honest reviews, make sure to squish the like and subscribe buttons because I have plenty of videos coming for you. Thank you Koali and Blue Goo Games for the game code. Now the game starts off with a short intro where you can customize your characters, so you can pick from a few preset options as well as your hairstyle, voice, eyes, and body shape plus some clothes. It's not too complex, but I think it gets the job done. I also want to give you a spoiler-free look at the story, and it starts with your grandma Jane, who's excited for you to be here and follow your dream of becoming a chef. While she can't be physically here to help you out at the moment, she still spreads the word about your work, and she leaves you with a few things that you can use, so the game quickly throws you into the loop of hunt, cook, deliver. You're gonna grab a few tools from the storage box in the house, you're gonna fight some beetles in the basement and craft your first cooking station from the spare parts that your grandma left behind. To deliver the meals, you're gonna hop into your spaceship and you're gonna travel across planets using this mini-map at the bottom right corner. But handling the ship can be a pain in the butt, as the ship is gonna just swerve and drift a lot, for a lack of a better term. I think the thing that I can compare it to is, you know, when you're going shopping and you're using a shopping cart and it has bad wheels, this is how it feels like controlling the spaceship. And you have to be careful because the ship will take damage if you bump into things, or for example you fly too close to the sun, but you can fix any damages by visiting the garage, and you can also use this boost effect to go faster, but this will also degrade with time, so you're gonna have to repair it too. You're gonna get some spaceship upgrades as well the more that you play. Cooking is very simple, and you probably really wanted to play this game because you're like me and you are suffocating and begging for a good cooking game. For example, if you're making some beetle skewers, you're gonna throw a couple of them on the grill, you're gonna watch the bar fill, flip at the right time, and then you can use the craft menu to turn the grilled beetles into beetle skewers. You're gonna unlock various stations and recipes as well, and the stations that you use are gonna have some simple mini games just like this, then you can deliver your dish. Flipping and removing stuff from the grill or whatever station you're working with at the right time is gonna give you better quality, which in turn is gonna give you more money, and you're gonna need that so you can decorate and buy stuff. The game tries to be creative with the naming of the items, so like the onion is called an orion, I think, and a beetle is called a beefle. It's quirky in its own way, and the overall design of the resources, the enemies, and the plants is different from what we're used to seeing, and I think it fits the game's general space aesthetic perfectly. Your customers will get impatient and cancel their orders if they wait too long, so there is a timer on this, and your food will spoil if you leave it in the fridge or the inventory for a long time. I know many of you complained in my Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar video that you just hate food spoiling, and I gotta tell you and give you a warning, in this game, food spoils a lot faster than it does in Story of Seasons, so keep that in mind. You also have a reputation system, so the more stuff you deliver, the better your restaurant is gonna be, and you're gonna unlock new tools and things that you can use. Now, it's important to keep in mind that this game is an RPG at heart, so you're gonna have a few skills to level up, including cooking, farming, exploration, and mining, and the system is very similar to that of Skyrim if you've played that. So if you do an activity, it's gonna improve that specific skill, and leveling up these skills is gonna unlock new tools, but you don't get a skill tree to choose from. Exploration is where things start to get intense. And this is where, in this following segment of this review, I'm gonna tell you why this game is not the cozy game that a lot of you are hoping for, and it's not gonna be a cozy walk in the park and all sunshine. And I think this is such an important disclaimer, which I doubt anyone is gonna tell you about, because even though the game is not advertised as a cozy game, it still made it to a lot of cozy games lists, including mine, because when we saw the aesthetic of the game, we instantly thought, oh, Flo's Diner Dash. So even though that one is stressful, but it's not gonna be like this survival RPG, just chaos. Yeah, so I hate to break it to you, This one is very stressful, but with that said, I still think it's very important if you're new to this channel for you to know that I love RPGs. Witcher 3, Cyberpunk, Skyrim, Fallout 4, you name it, I freaking love RPGs. So even though this game was easy for me to get into, it might not be easy for you, especially if you're only keen about cozy games. So the map is pretty big and it's divided into zones. In the beginning, you're limited to the inner area, but later on you can travel to dangerous regions like the pirate zone. While you're in your spaceship and you're traveling around, you're gonna notice that planets move. Asteroid belts can come at you and hit you. You can even get hit by other ships if you're not careful. There's also a full day and night cycle, which means you need to sleep to restore your stamina. Otherwise, you're not gonna be able to sprint, and you also have a health bar which you can regain by eating food. When you're exploring space, you can also mine for rare resources, and at one point you're gonna start having spaceship battles. Combat has to be one of the weakest points of this game. You have different tools that you can use as weapons, but you can't dodge, you can't block or jump, so the fights feel very clunky. You just swing your weapon and you hope that it's gonna hit the enemy, and you're gonna find yourself always trying to either run away and get like a few hits with a long-range weapon, or you're gonna use a short-range weapon and you're gonna be like running backwards all the time. And this is something that I had an issue with in Chef RPG, and it's the same here. So the enemy is chasing after you, they're faster than you, and you're just trying to walk backwards, and it just feels very unintuitive. I also died like so many times in this scene, for example, because I was trapped in a small space and there's just no way for me to get away from the enemies. Thankfully, dying doesn't come with big penalties, it just advances time. So the only problem that I see so far is that if you have deliveries open, you might miss some orders, but otherwise, I don't think I lost any money or resources. Combat is either gonna be in space stations that you find, your basement, some hidden places, or the massive planets that you'll visit, where each one has its own distinct biome with its unique flora and fauna, some animals that are used to get resources from, and there are some that you can even befriend so that you can get some rewards in return. You're also gonna notice a lot of weather changes that are gonna hit the planets, so sometimes it's gonna be raining, sometimes you might visit and a big storm is happening and you're trying to run for your life because you don't want to get zapped. There's also durability on the weapons and tools, which means you're constantly gonna need to repair or replace things, similar to Breath of the Wild. And if you played Breath of the Wild, I think a lot of us agree that that durability system is really annoying and tedious. And it's the same thing here. And because you can only craft at home, you're gonna be making a lot of trips back and forth, which kills the pacing for me, and this is something I noticed that the game does a lot. Let me explain. So the game really lacks quality of life features, which could make the game a lot better, but instead, I just felt like the devs are intentionally trying to enforce gameplay mechanics, which maybe they thought is gonna make the game more challenging, but in fact, it only ended up making me frustrated. The same goes for exploration. You're gonna find interesting space stations floating around with plenty of good loot, but many require tools that you don't even know how to get. And this is yet another important thing that you need to know, which is this game does not hold your hand at all, and I think it does it in a very extreme way. There's very little guidance or tutorials, so a lot of the time you're gonna need to figure things out on your own. There's no quest markers either, so if you're stuck, you just don't know where to go. Also, most of the time you're not gonna know that there's a new quest, so you're gonna find yourself talking to NPCs so many times, sitting through their repetitive dialogue and hoping that this time they're gonna have a new quest for you. You won't even know how to unlock things or progress certain parts of the story. And while I don't like games holding my hand too much, because I play so many RPGs, and again, as I mentioned, the RPGs that I love hold your hand every single second, but at least I know where to go. There's a sense of direction. I know how to navigate my way around, whereas here, it's just always a dead end after a dead end. Every time I finally figure out how to complete a quest, I'm yet bombarded by another one with a set of tasks, and I'm just banging my head through the wall because I don't know where to go and how to complete them. Now, there are some social aspects like the karaoke nights at the bar on Tuesdays, you can meet new NPCs, you can even romance, but I don't know, I don't feel attached to anyone, I'm not interested in anyone. Most of the NPCs are going to be just standing around or sitting down in one place. They do have a routine, so sometimes you're not gonna know where they are, and this is yet where another quality of life feature would be really helpful, which is knowing where to find NPCs, because most of the time I don't know where they are. And while some of the NPCs are scripted into the story, many just exist exist in the background. They don't have a name, they don't have any lines to say. Last point isn't much of a problem for me, but if the game had overall more interesting main characters, it would have been great. Now, right now, I feel like Grandma is the one who's running the show up until the 10-hour mark that I've played. Now, granted, when you're in space, you occasionally see ships that are flying around, which adds life to the world a bit. You also have the radio, which might have announcements, but at the core of this game, the focus is really on cooking, fighting, mining, and exploring rather than relationships. Even farming is lackluster, so you can grow some seeds in the soil, water them, and get produce, but that's about it. And my comment on the farming is not a big deal either. I just want you to know that if you're walking into this game thinking it's a farming sim, it's not. So just keep your expectations in check. Decoration is a big part of this game and it's very flexible and I really appreciate it. You can unlock plenty of decor items and then you can use them to customize and expand your home and your restaurant. And you also get to choose when you want to open up your shop, when you want to go gathering for resources, and the restaurant will automatically close if you run out of all items that are on the menu for the day. You're gonna also notice that orders are more frequent during the day, especially during lunch hour, and they're gonna be less frequent at night. Additionally, there are also these buildings that you can enter where it's usually like one small room to explore and maybe someone, you might meet inside and maybe find some decor blueprints that you can learn. Visually, the game is very charming and colorful. If anything, it's the first thing that caught my attention. It's very reminiscent of Diner Dash, and I love the concept of running your own restaurant in space. We don't really have that many cooking and restaurant management games, let alone it being in space, so this could have been a goldmine for the developer. I'm glad to say that this is all accompanied by satisfying sound effects and a very good soundtrack. And with all the good and the bad, is this game gonna be the one for you? We're gonna go with this game is for you if, not for you if, and my verdict. But before we get into that, hello you gorgeous human beings, it's Miss Bubbles. I'm so glad to be back. I had a little bit of a vacation, I really needed it. Your girl has been struggling for the past year and a half, so I'm happy to be here again. If this video has been helpful so far, squish the like and subscribe buttons and consider supporting me on Ko-fi, Patreon, or YouTube memberships. Every little bit goes a long way and I can keep bringing more videos like this for you. So, this game is for you if you enjoy sandbox-style RPGs where you experiment and learn by doing, so there's not much guidance or hand-holding. You're probably gonna also love it if you like the idea of managing your own restaurant in space while still having that exploration, mining, and cooking loop, so you're always busy trying to look for new resources. However, the game is not for you if you're looking for a laid-back, cozy experience to unwind with. The combat is clunky, the pacing is very slow, and the constant back and forth between crafting, repairing, and fighting can get repetitive, and you know me, I love repetitive games. Like, I freaking cover these all the time, cozy games, farming games, all of that, but I feel like the loop here is just not engaging enough. It's also not for you if you easily get frustrated by vague quest design or limited quality of life systems, because trust me, this game can test your patience. As for me, I think Space Chef has so much potential, and I still think that it has a very specific audience that is gonna love this game. However, if you are like me, and you usually like the games that I like, and you dislike the ones that I dislike, then you might feel the same way about this one. It has potential, but it struggled to keep me hooked, where, you know that urge that we have when we say, I wanna play one more in-game day, and you end up in that loop of 3 hours? That never happened with me with Space Chef, which was very sad because I thought it would. It's charming, quirky, creative, and full of personality, but it's also frustrating, grindy, confusing, and at times, it was just simply exhausting. I love the core idea of this game, just being a chef in space, I think is very, very fun, and the game can be fun at times when it clicks, but because I was constantly bombarded by things that were just feeling like they were just being tedious for no reason, I just don't want to go back into the game and play it right now, you know? Now, the game will take around 45 to 50 hours to complete based on what the devs told me, but again, at 10 hours, I feel like I was already checked out. Now, I know games published by Quali usually take player feedback seriously, and I've loved a lot of the games that they've released, like The Incredible Town to City and Wildmender if you played these, so here's hoping that Space Chef gets the same treatment and turns things around. But I want to know if you picked up this game. This is what these videos are for. Let's talk about it in the comment section, and a shout out as always goes to my YouTube and Patreon members who make videos like this possible. And of course, thank you so much to Jake Logan, The Game Dimension, Yugoslav, and Stella for going the extra mile. Until next time, stay bubbly.